Hey, what's going on with y'all niggas, man? My name is Devin Wells, and I just went to church earlier today. Oh, by Shatta. And I don't know what I'm gonna do with all this money from the collection offering. $45. Fucking broke ass church members. Okay. I know what y'all thinking. How the fuck did this nigga go to church on a Wednesday? Well, truth be told, I was supposed to have this bitch edited and uploaded days ago. But shit happened. But hey man, I got a reaction for y'all today. Now lately we've been, doing a lot of reactions about liars and joke thieves and all that type of shit. Well, this video right here is about Dane Cook, who has been accused of stealing jokes in the past. I'm not too familiar with Dane Cook. I mean, I remember like a couple of his jokes like making me giggle a little bit, but for the most part, it's just I can't do it. I liked him in that movie Good Luck Chuck though. Good Luck Chuck was good. Everything. I also heard he married a bitch that was like 22 and he was like 50 something. Hey, fuck it. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Without further ado, let's get into this shit.
Cook does not make me laugh at all in any way, shape, or form. How can any comedian get as famous as Dane Cook has with no jokes? He doesn't make me laugh, but that doesn't mean he's not funny. He doesn't get credit. He came up with a new genre sort of style of comedy. That guy is a total fucking trailblazer.
What new
this guy is
genre
a
did he come
monster
up with?
fucking talent that can kind of do anything. Dane Cook made his network television debut on Letterman in 1997.
When I was little, my dream, all I wanted to do was take karate. I used to run around my house. And I begged my dad, I was like, Dad, please, can I take karate? Come on.
Nobody could have predicted that this guy would become the biggest comedian in the world just a few years later. The next day after that Letterman set, Dave noticed a shift in his performances. He trusted himself more movement, more emotion, whatever it took to get laughs.
For me, it was tough growing up because I learned everything. I had 5 sisters, okay? I used to wear a tampon just to fit in, okay? Swear to God. Here comes Peter Cottontail. I love sex. I always, you know what I mean? The thing, it's just, I'm crazy for it. I just, I'm...
1 year later, Cook would appear on the new show
really
Premium Blend on Comedy Central, a stand-up comedy TV show that helped amplify numerous comedians in the late 90s, including Dave Chappelle, Gabriel Iglesias, and Amy Schumer. Then in 2000, Dane got a half-hour special on Comedy Central Presents. It seemed like he was on the right trajectory to becoming a mainstream success, but his career reached a standstill after that special. Some of you might think it's because he wasn't funny. He got enough exposure to a large audience through TV, and they decided they wouldn't be paying money to come see him live, which could be true. However, comedy as a whole was in a rough spot. The late 70s and 80s witnessed a comedy boom that the world hadn't seen before. George Carlin, Richard Pryor, Steve Martin, Eddie Murphy are just a few of the many icons who dominated that era. However, the 90s saw a huge downturn. Comedy clubs were closing all over the country, and the Comedy Central TV channel was yet to be established. Most successful comedians in the 90s usually got their notoriety through television sitcoms. Everybody Loves Raymond, Home Improvement, The Jamie Foxx Show, All American Girl, Drew Carey Show, the list goes on and on and on. These comedians would earn a fan base, then embark on a large stand-up tour for the audience that loves their TV show. Now obviously in the 90s you can't just produce your own show and upload it to TV, so comedians who didn't have Hollywood connections needed to grind for years. They would do short stand-up sets in comedy clubs all over the country and slowly build their reputation. Dane was willing to do that old school grind. He hoped at one of his open mics he would catch the attention of a talent manager with connections or a network looking to cast him in a massively popular TV show. But by 2003, he basically had nothing to show for, besides being the intro for Smash Mouth's all-star music video.
I am the Waffler. With my griddle of justice, I bash the enemy in the head, or I burn them like so.
Dane had also just released his comedy album Harmful If Swallowed and had nobody to promote it to. It was time to take his career into his own hands, and this decision would launch him into superstardom. But first, let me tell you about today's sponsor.
Nope. No, hell no.
August 1st, 2003, a new social networking service called
I heard about
MySpace
this.
has launched.
He used
and
to
after a
promote
few
his
months
shit
of it
on
being
MySpace.
public, Dane decided he would give it a shot. He signed up and immediately started spamming clips and links to his short comedy sets, which were hosted on his website, danecook.com. Just like comedians today post 30 seconds to multiple minutes of a set on TikTok,
I give him that. He did create the blueprint of promoting your stand-up on social media. He did do that.
People would actually engage with someone posting a link that says, check this out. Dane gained thousands of friends very quickly. On MySpace, they were called friends, but it's the same thing as followers. He began sending them messages.
And I was like, yeah, this new thing, MySpace. I get on there, I take my 2,500 people, and one night I come home from the Laugh Factory, and I spend the whole night, I think I probably respond to 2,500 people. Like, welcome to the, by their name. Hey, Carla in Iowa, I saw it's your birthday last week. Happy birthday. Here's a link, and I start sending people. I spend the whole night. I go home every night for 4 years. I shook every hand digitally with every fan and sent links to pretty much every single person until I had millions of followers and could not do it anymore.
Dane was doing the door-to-door sales equivalent of marketing his comedy online. One by one, he created a digital empire on a site that was being grossly underestimated by the entertainment industry. On top of MySpace, Dane also saw the value in putting audio versions of his comedy on sites like Napster and even LimeWire. Little by little over the next year, fans purchased, or more likely, illegally downloaded his Harmful If Swallowed CD, which contained iconic bits like the BK Lounge, Monopoly, Not So Kool-Aid, and Tire in the Face.
You would put me on drive-thru every night. Why do people insist on yelling at the drive-thru? You know, it's modern technology. I'd be there with my little headset. Hi, welcome to Burger King. May I take your order? Sir, whopper onion,
This material is considered by fans to be his best, still to this day, and many others still have no idea why people thought it was funny. Dane's humor was very much built around young adults, and since college kids were the vast majority of people using the internet, he was in the right place. He quickly started selling out 2,000 to 2,500 seat venues, primarily at colleges in the US. He created a hand sign / logo as a symbol for his fans, reminiscent of Jay-Z's rock. This was dubbed the Super Finger, or Sufi. According to Dane, this is when your middle finger alone does not convey the intensity of your emotion. He got a little bit of mainstream attention too, if you count being the sausage mascot in Mr. 3000.
Hey, oh, good. Hey, buddy, come here. Help me out, please. Zipper. Hey, can you give me a hand?
By 2005, MySpace was the most popular social media site in the world, and Dane was the most popular comedian on the site. He had momentum, and he was on the cusp of something big. He set up a 20-date tour and hired a production team to film it, so he would have more content for his social media pages. Tourgasm was initially a webisode that ended up getting purchased by HBO and turned into a legitimate TV show. During Tourgasm was when Dane realized just how powerful the internet was. He booked a show at Penn State expecting 3,000 fans, but had to get moved to the Bryce Jordan Center because they sold 12,000 tickets. The material he was practicing on this tour was his second comedy album and special, Retaliation. Despite his huge internet following and multiple sold-out shows, Dane wasn't respected in the comedy world.
A week before I released my second album, Retaliation, a week before, we couldn't get one publication to write about it. Spin, Rolling Stone, like anybody, nobody.
All he had was his MySpace fans, and because of them, Dane Cook was about to make history. July 26th, 2005, Dane officially released his comedy CD album, Retaliation, with Comedy Central Records. 2 weeks later, he was number 4 on the Billboard Hot 200, directly under Now 19, Young Jeezy, and Mariah Carey. It was the most successful comedy album debut since Steve Martin's A Wild and Crazy Guy in 1978, 27 years earlier. The album went 2 times platinum and remained the number 1 Billboard comedy album for 49 weeks. Retaliation contained 2 discs of raunchy college humor bits like Bamf, the friend that nobody likes, where he's credited for creating the term Karen that is wildly popular today.
Karen is always a douchebag. Every group has a Karen, and she's always a bag of douche. And when she's not around, you just look at each other and go, God, Karen, she's such a douchebag. Until she walks up, and then you're like, hey, what's up, Karen?
Other fan favorites like Struck by a Vehicle and The Creepy Guy at Work. Immediately after this album boomed, he started getting recognized by the entertainment industry. His first gig, a 2-minute set at the MTV VMAs, where he absolutely bombed.
We like a little violence in this country. And I know you're like me, you can't deny it. Sometimes when you see somebody walking down the street wearing a Superman t-shirt, you just want to shoot them in the chest. And when they start to bleed, go, I guess not.
He appeared on Jay Leno's Late Night Show where he did...
Why is that the only joke of his I found funny, is the one that bombed?
Oh my
of yours. And I mean, you're beautiful. You're a talented monster, and North Country, and just I mean, I know I'm kissing your ass here, but.
Then on the Jimmy Kimmel Show, where he was an absolute madman.
Look. She's exceptional. Okay?
Is that Nelly sitting next to him?
She's exceptional. She's
Yeah, it is Nelly.
She's so many words in my vernacular. And yes, Tom is making a play for KH. I'll be home soon, Katie.
He got to host SNL in December 2005 and then a second time in 2006. He hosted the Teen Choice Awards in 2006 because he was every teen's favorite comic. Dane also starred in a new film alongside Jessica Simpson called Employee of the Month, which is honestly a pretty solid movie. Easily his best role. From there, he had Good Luck Chuck and My Best Friend's Girl. His stand-up exploded to heights that people didn't think were possible. Cure Insurance Arena, Meadowlands Arena, Michelob Ultra Arena, Allstate Arena. Dane Cook was selling out 5,000 to 12,000 person venues every week, which peaked when he got the opportunity to perform at the legendary Madison Square Garden. The only problem was, he didn't have any material prepared because he was so busy doing movies. But you can't turn down MSG. Dane had no choice. The promoter apparently had a $150,000 budget to promote the show, but they didn't have to spend a dime because of Dane's social media following. As soon as the tickets went live, he posted the link on MySpace. Sold out. So they added a second show the same day. Sold that one out. Dane Cook became the second comedian in history to sell out the Garden 2 nights in a row. The first being Andrew Dice Clay, who was ironically like the Dane Cook of the 90s. Dane hired a small camera crew to film, thinking it was either going to be his best or worst performance in history. He improvised half of the material, rambling, screaming, sound effects, his usual shtick, and he absolutely crushed it. This off-the-cuff performance was released later as his Rough Around the Edges special. Dane was zooming past veteran comics. The industry had never seen someone go from a hack at the Funny Farm to a stadium icon in this short period of time. He simply could not take an L, which is when the hate started rolling in. Rolling Stone published an article, The Joke's on Us. How can any comedian get as famous as Dane Cook has with no jokes? Jim Brewer, a stand-up veteran who hosts a radio show that often interviews comedians, said, "Not one comedian comes on my show and says, 'I'm so happy for him,' which is weird. They can't stand this poor guy." Steven Rosenfield, director of the American Comedy Institute, says Dane is kind of like Perrier water. It's brilliantly bottled, but it's still seltzer. By the way, drink water. Every other day, there was a journalist writing about how much they hated Dane Cook. Family Guy took shots at him. Mad TV had a parody skit about him. He became a punching bag in the entertainment world. Now, it's pretty easy to say that people were just jealous of Dane's success, and that could be true.
Like a lot of jealousy, a lot of animosity that I, at a young age, was famous, hanging around with beautiful women, rich.
Even Joe Rogan has said the same.
I remember when Dane Cook was killing it. There were so many haters. And not just because of all the real reasons to be a hater, but also just because of his success was so astronomical. I remember people would just fume thinking about Dane Cook selling out arenas.
But it's pretty easy to see major flaws in Dane's comedy. His humor heavily relies on delivery rather than genuinely witty content. Many of his jokes revolve around relatable, everyday experiences such as playing Monopoly and having friends and eating at a fast food restaurant. He exhibits this, you know what I mean, type humor, or simply relatable humor, which is amplified by his sound effects, screaming, and insane body contortions. Now, his sound effects are damn good, and he's a very good storyteller, but often his stories lead nowhere, falling flat and ending with something like,
"You're the person nobody likes." I know, it is so true, and that's why it's funny. It is so true. That's why it's funny. Because it's so true, hence funny.
Unlike typical comedians who display brokenness or cynicism, Cook maintains a positive, unassuming lifestyle where dudes think he's the man and girls think he is a heartthrob. But just because he prioritizes showmanship doesn't make him unfunny. Dane didn't even address the hate. At first, he actually liked it. He felt like a comedy supervillain. Plus, he was doing arena after arena filled with tens of thousands of people laughing. He could care less what one journalist or one open mic comic thought. There is one very clear objective to comedy: to make people laugh. Dane was getting laughs and making millions. He was winning. But the
Yeah,
reason
he
many
was
people
making it
hated
do what it
him
do.
wasn't just because of his good looks and success. He was labeled a joke thief, and stealing jokes is a career-ending sin in comedy. Dane's 2005 Retaliation album contained a few jokes that were very similar to Louis C.K.'s 2001 album Live from Houston, Texas. The first accusation of plagiarism comes from a bit they both did when choosing a weird name for their child.
I'd like to have a kid, because you can name your kid anything
I've heard
you
about
want.
this.
I like that part. I'd like to give my kid an interesting name, you know? Like a name with no vowels, maybe, you know? Just like... Just like 40 F's, that's his name.
Then Dane's bit 4 years later.
I already have names picked out. I don't even know. First kid, boy, girl, I don't care. The first one that comes out, I'm naming it. I think it's beautiful. It's feminine but strong at the same time. Time for bed. I said time for bed.
The iconic Steve Martin had a joke in the 1970s where he discusses parents naming their kids. Some people think they were both inspired by the same joke. However, the second accusation was the itchy butthole bit.
Like, I was staying in a hotel and the soap was really nasty, and I had an itchy asshole for like a week, and I could have won $1 million. I still would have been going, fuck my asshole! It itches!
I don't know if you've ever gotten this. It was about 2:30 in the afternoon. I got the itchiest asshole I've ever gotten. On record.
Okay, so...
And I keep a record of my itchy assholes.
Yeah, okay.
May 14th, 1985, I had a very itchy asshole. This one ousted it. Get out of here!
The third accusation was regarding a bit where Louis and Dane witnessed someone about to be hit by a car, and they don't know what to say to prevent it.
Because it was happening really fast. I had like that much time to yell, you know. What can I yell in that much time? It's, hey, you the guy to my God! You know, that's not... She's gonna open the door again! Shit!
As the car was coming towards him, I reached out and I said, oh! Oh! That's all I could think of to say.
All three jokes are delivered differently, but it's an extreme coincidence
that's-
that Dane's 2005 album has 3 bits that cover the exact same premises as Louis' 2001
off the
album.
same
Louis didn't
albums?
actually
Yeah,
blame
I don't
Dane,
know
though,
about all
and
that.
in a weird turn of events, Louis invited Dane onto his television show to do a scripted scene where he confronts him.
Some of my jokes. I think you saw me do them. I know you saw me do them, and I think they just went in your brain. And I don't think you meant to do it, but I don't think you stopped yourself either.
CK
That's
thinks
called
Dane had a
cryptomnesia,
case
yeah.
of cryptomnesia,
Right there.
which is basically when you
Cryptomnesia.
think you had an original thought or idea, but you heard it somewhere else and totally forgot. Despite Louis
It's
giving
basically
Dane a
when you
pass,
accidentally
comedy
steal
fans
somebody's
still
joke.
hated him. But the joke theft didn't stop there. Dane had a joke about a
shit.
shoe store in 2007 that was almost exactly the same as Dimitri Martin's in 2006, where they both talk about asking for a shoe size and the worker comes back with the wrong size, resulting in them having to cut off a piece of their foot.
I went into a shoe store and I said, hey, can I get those in a 10?
Dimitri
He goes,
Martin.
sure, and he went in the back.
He looks
And a couple
familiar.
minutes later he came out and he goes, I don't have a 10, I have a 9. Great.
Damn, that motherfucker.
Because while you were in the back, my toes were severed off.
She walks out. She comes up to me, you guys, so enthusiastic, such like optimism. She's holding a boot. She comes right up to me and she goes, we have it in a 9. Great, you guys also have a bone saw anywhere nearby?
Joe Rogan even says
That's
Dane stole
eerily
one of his bits
similar.
about tigers f***ing, but Dane changed it from tigers to rhinos. Rogan took matters into his own hands and confronted Dane with a phone call, seeking an explanation. Dane apologized to Joe and said he would axe the bit. Just 2 weeks later, Joe caught Dane telling yet another bit of his on stage once again. Joe confronted Dane in person this time, saying,
Just
"What the
for
f*** are you
laughs,
doing?
Montreal.
You know that's my bit. You heard me say it. What the f*** makes you think you can take my material and do it on stage?" Despite numerous accusations and kind of a lot of proof, a lot of people still think these were just coincidences, and Dane is not actually a joke thief. But Dane got something stolen from him. Money. Millions of dollars stolen by his own
Damn, his
brother.
brother?
Daryl McCauley was Dane's older half-brother on his mom's side, and while growing up, Dane considered him his first real best friend in his life. As Dane began to make money in comedy, he asked Daryl to quit his job as a corrections officer and manage his finances. For many years, Dane worked extra hard to not only earn money for himself, but also for his brother's career opportunity. McCauley made an estimated $12,500 a month for his role. However, Dane was forced to replace McCauley as his business business manager for tax purposes after relocating to Los Angeles. Despite Cook offering to keep him in the company under a different position, Macaulay was still angry. Although he had suspicions, Dane claims that he just woke up one morning and had an epiphany.
And then Monday I woke up and I literally sat up in my bed, turned to my girlfriend, woke her up, and I go, I think my brother stole all my money.
Dane knew he had to pursue legal action, but a piece of him still had love for his brother, which showed in his testimony. He shared with the judge in Massachusetts that Cook believes Daryl could have mental issues stemming from his connection to his birth father, who had his own mental disorders. Cook believes it could be genetic and that Daryl felt entitled to the money. Typically, people who are deemed mentally unstable can get a reduced level of punishment. Macaulay pleaded guilty to larceny, embezzlement, and forgery charges. He was ordered to serve 5 years in prison. His wife was sentenced to 2.5 years for her involvement in the scheme, and the court ordered Macaulay to repay Cook $12 million. Keep in mind, $12 million is just what they could prove he stole. It's likely that there was a lot more money stolen. From that moment on, the relationship between the two previously close brothers was shattered. He hasn't spoken to him since. Adding to that pain, both of Cook's parents sadly passed away in 2006 and 2007, leaving Dane in emotional turmoil, which ultimately led to his downfall. The faster you rise, the harder you fall. Eventually, Dane ran out of steam. His last CD album was called Isolated Incident in 2009, which featured a much smaller, more intimate setting of 400 people and was filmed in one take. It performed well amongst his fans, but at this point, Dane's shtick had been rinsed. Comedy is a slow grind. You need years to develop material, and by the early 2010s, his audience had outgrown his humor. He had a little string of controversial jokes that got him backlash on the internet, like this one at the Teen Choice Awards where Dane pokes fun at Vanessa Hudgens' leaked photos.
Where's Vanessa Hudgens?
Is that the bitch from High School Musical?
Girl, you got to keep your clothes on!
And another joke where he made light of the very serious 2012 movie theater shooting in Aurora, Colorado.
I'm pretty sure that somebody in that theater about 25 minutes in realizing it was a piece of crap probably was like, oh, fucking shoot me.
Despite the crowd thinking it was funny, the internet did not, which started a long history of comedians getting their sets leaked and criticized on the internet. Dane had trouble maintaining his appeal to the youth, and his bad plastic surgery wasn't helping. The hate and resentment from the comedy community finally started to hit him, and he took a step back from the spotlight. He had enough money to just chill and live a pretty relaxed lifestyle on his own terms. He still did large shows, theaters, casinos throughout the 2010s, a tour in 2013 and in 2019, but these days, he mostly just spends time with his wife, Kelsey Taylor, who is 26 years younger than him. A creator by the name of Tracy Morrissey speculated some foul play. Dave and Kelsey made their relationship official in 2017 when Kelsey was about 18 and a half years old. Dane says that he met his girlfriend at a game night he hosts at his house.
How do you meet a 23-year-old? How do you meet? Where do you meet?
I used to host every Friday night for 2 years. I had a code names or running charades game night at my house. And then I just ended up meeting her through hosting game nights.
How long have you been going out?
Going out?
Yeah.
Oh, no, we've been together 5 years. So now we're engaged after being together 5 years.
18.
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's legal.
This 2016 photo shows a large mix of people at one of his game nights. These don't look like celebrities. You have people in the comment section asking if they can be invited. And when you consider how Dane back in his MySpace days was very comfortable reaching out to people one by one, maybe he just invited his fans to his house. This photo in 2016 shows Kelsey at a game night a few weeks before she was 18. Dane was 45. Tracy went on a deep dive and discovered multiple instances of young girls at Dane's game nights. Actress Joey King, who was 16.
Did the same
Emily
thing.
Lind was 14 in this photo. Emily Robinson, 18. Saxon Charbino was 16. He even posted a photo with the 15-year-old saying, "I saw a screening with my homegirl." The common denominator is that all of these girls would go on to be actresses or aspire to be in the entertainment industry. This obviously had people accusing Dane of grooming young women, and ultimately his wife. Dane hasn't addressed these allegations directly, but he is aware of the backlash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But people give you hell for that.
Sometimes. Oh, you're talking about the internet. That's a whole nother league. Yeah.
That's where you live, the internet and your lawn.
In real life, nobody's ever had any kind of anything but like giving us flowers and being very lovely.
He even jokes about it in his new stand-up.
Because I'm 49, my girlfriend's 23. She was doing her homework, and I said to her, bedtime soon, Betty, let's talk before bed.
Over the years, Dane has regained his reputation in comedy. I'm not saying people are admitting that he was actually funny the whole time, but they do believe they were too harsh on him, or maybe hated him out of jealousy, or maybe just hated him to jump on the bandwagon. He was a massive innovator with social media. Listening back to these jokes was nostalgic. Maybe they didn't age all that well, but one thing for sure is Dane was a huge reason why a lot of young people got interested in comedy. Me especially. I don't think I would care nearly as much about stand-up as I do today if it wasn't for Dane.
That was a good ass video. That was a well done video. This dude, what is his name? Patrick CC. He always does good shit. I've been watching his videos for a little while now. So yeah, there will definitely be a link in the description for the original video. Make sure to like and subscribe. And I'm about this hoe.